Yeah, and the reason that it is so important is because they're talking about an end of an era of American journalism. That this used to be what American journalists did. They exposed the corrupt bankers. They exposed the criminal elites, the people at the high corporations that were polluting rivers and destroying people's lives, people that were creating the fake wars. That's what you're supposed to do. Yeah. That's what good journalists do.
And now when you do it, then you are removed from your position and that kind of thing. Like if you watch the documentary out, Fox talks about how there were some Fox News correspondents that refused to lie about the dangers of growth hormones in cows, and there was court rulings over it, and basically it said that the news network has a right to lie to you.
Yep. And of course that's because it's run by the advertisers, and these people completely run this entire thing, and that's what this quote right here talks about. It says, mass advertising perverts the integrity of the editor-reader relationship, essential to the concept of a democracy. Mass advertising entails the perversion of the editor-reader relationship. It entails reader exploitation and cultural manipulation and stultification, which is exactly what we've been talking about, that it basically lowers the IQ of people, it destroys everyone's attention spans.
Our second to last little excerpt that we have for you here is on the interlocking web of business interests. And this particular portion says, the men that sway this colossal power of tainting the world's news are able to make war at any time in any part of the world, and are able to distort and misrepresent the facts that they can make you to believe in a war and shout for it. What a power is this, to lie in the hands of men whose only concern in humanity is to prey upon it. That pretty much sums it up right there.
What a power that these guys have, and they use it for evil, as I've said, not for enlightening people, not for trying to put out important types of news and inform people.
And that's when you can generally see what kind of media is legitimate. Those that have a special interest with it, with themselves and their supposed partners, which are the advertisers that back them, or someone like us that are just, common working folk, students that have graduated, and we're just trying to let other people know about these insane things that we learn about every day. And nobody almost has a clue, so we hope that you take heed to some of the things we're telling you today.
The final quote that we have for you from this book is a conclusion, essentially. He says, the moral for you is just this. When you pick up your morning or evening newspaper and think you are reading the news of the world, what you are really reading is propaganda, which has been selected, revised, and doctored by some power which has a financial interest in you, and which, for the protecting of that financial interest, has been willing to take trouble and go into the most minute detail. You will miss the point of this book if you fail to get clear that the perversion of news and betrayal of public opinion is no haphazard and accidental thing. It has been deliberately planned and systematically carried out, a science and a technique. High-priced experts devote their lives to it. They sit in a council with the masters of industry and report on the condition of the public mind, and determine precisely how this shall be presented and how that shall be suppressed. They create a public psychology, a force in the grip of which you, their victim, are as helpless as a moth in the glare of an arc light.
Yeah, it's absolutely staggering the amount of things that are taken from our view, our field of vision, and in place is absolute nonsense. The Super Bowl, I mean, there's a bunch of people that put tremendous amounts of energy into absolute nonsense, obsessing with people like Jessica Simpson.
So check out our Unfree press. You can probably get it in your library. If not, I don't know, go try and find it somewhere. You can buy it somewhere, I'm sure. And go read, please.
Yeah, it's an epic collection of work. Hope you enjoy it.
This show's moment in history is focusing on the 1996 Telecommunications Act.
Yeah, 1996 Telecommunications Act, as a consequence, created Clear Channel and Viacom.
Yep.
And there was 99.9% of the people that called into Congress during the deliberations for this act were in opposition against it, because people downright were not cool with what it was trying to do.
Yeah, what it did is extend provisions that had been basically started back in the early 80s, where they were trying to, deregulate and get rid of rules that had already been there for corporations and their ownership of media, radio, television, airwaves. Now we have satellite, internet, everything else. And it was essentially a move to allow they claimed that it was going to make more competition, that it was going to make lower prices for the consumers.
Yeah.
That was all a lie, because years later, many studies have come out about it, and it's shown that actually prices have gone up by 50% on average, and the ownership has gone down. There's been conglomerates created, like Viacom and Clear Channel.
Well, it's just like how we say we fight wars for freedom, and then we're losing them at the same time. So it's pretty obvious.
Up
to
is
see
down,
that,
left is right.
Yeah,
it's all
double
backwards.
speak.
It's all
because
double
they
speak.
can't convince you to do anything unless they can convince you that it's in your interest, and that's where the act of seduction comes in as being necessary for these kinds of legislation and whatnot. And I mean, it's absolutely criminal because these are our airwaves. And they're regulated by the FCC, Federal Communications Commission, and Congress. And we already know that our elections have basically been hijacked and dominated by special interests. We've gone over in this program. Now the Supreme Court ruling that says you can give as much money as you want if you're a corporation makes it more blatant than before what already previously existed behind the scenes. And in combination with copyright laws, our airwaves now have been hijacked and are broadcasting crap that you don't own. And it's meant to profit off you because it's driven by advertisers, and banking interests want, to drive for profits and more production. And they're going to do this at any means at their disposal. So they're going to manipulate Congress people. They're going to push through their agenda in these regulatory things where they say that they're supposed to safeguard our airwaves, just like how they say they're going to make things cheaper and more pleasant for you.
Yeah, this act, the Telecommunications Act in 1996, many people have later decried now as a horrible thing. It did terrible things for competition. What little competition there was has now been completely stamped out, and that's why you see shows like ours on public access. The few last channels, the last vestiges of freedom that any of us even have to try and put our information out, because everything else has been hijacked by these people who run everything, and then say that, oh, we broadcast this stuff all over your airwaves, but you don't own it and you can't copy it and you can't watch it unless you pay us for it.
The same thing with our radio. Pretty much.
Which we're the exact opposite. You can watch our stuff, you can copy our stuff, you can do whatever you want. It's all free on the internet. We're a completely open source show because we're trying to go against their tyrannical nature and bring about a more freedom-oriented type of media experience.
Yeah, and previously before, you could only own one radio station, one TV station, and whatnot.
Yeah,
now,
in a town.
Over time, they've been able to break down systematically every barrier to them being able to consolidate all and control all of our media. And just like how these regulatory bodies that were created, like the FCC, were created in the interest of, saying like, oh, well, we don't want all these radio stations to all be, competing against each other and overpowering each other. And it's like, well, what they want to do is they want to fix it, a cartel that's in their interest. Not so that they'll you don't have to deal with, overlapping communication signals. No, it's so that they overlap all your communication signals and they're going to make you listen to what they want you to hear. And so long as you're getting drilled with this kind of basically brainwash, then you're going to be programmed. Like a little program, you're going to do what they want with their little commands they punch in through the means more indirectly than just like you being a little computer. They have their way to push your buttons.
And that's why now with the internet coming about, and it's really taken off, especially since 1996 when this Telecommunications Act was passed. And by reading the act and reading a lot of reports about it, you can get the feeling that they didn't really envision that the internet and internet media would take off in the way that it did. That independent media like our media and others that are out there would take off the way that they have. And that people are tired, like I've said, of listening to the liars and shills that are on CNN and Fox and the rest of it. They don't want to hear that stuff. They want to get to the truth and they want to fix the real problems.
Indeed. And this 1996 Telecom Act is one of many very frightening, quite blatant moves by special interests and whatnot to hijack everything that could be good and to completely make it corrupt, tainted, and evil. And so that way it's a tool for them to fulfill their agendas of controlling the people and exploiting them by any means necessary.
And key thing to remember, of course, is that 99.9% of people called their Congress, left and right, conservative, liberal, doesn't matter, Democrat, Republican.
Everybody.
Same with the banker bailouts. All these people call and say they're against it, Congress votes for it anyway. That's not representation.